We're living in extremely crazy times. We're living in perilous times, very troublesome times for many or just about everyone. There's no one that's exempt from these perilous times that we are living in. And we can expect much more than what we experience now to occur. So, my advice would be to gird up your loins, to prepare yourself, especially preparing yourself mentally, emotionally, and most importantly, spiritually. Although much of everything we see that's going on appears to be natural, and we tend to deal with things in a natural way. But much of what we see and experience is actually spiritual warfare. And if you're not spiritual, if you're not linked in with the Creator, then you will be lost. You will have a difficult time. You will make bad choices for yourself and for your family. I want to speak on 3 dreams that I had 3 different times, and they were short dreams. So I waited because I was hoping that the Most High would reveal the meaning of these dreams. The first dream I had was probably about 2 weeks ago. And it was a vision. It was very short, very specific, but it was a flash in my sleep state. As I was dozing off to sleep, I just saw this vision just flash before my face. And what I saw was there was a fighter plane that was flying at a very high rate of speed. And then there were 2 other fighter planes that came speedily upon it, got on each side of it, and blew it out of the air. So I saw 2 fighter planes knock 1 fighter plane out of the air. That was the vision. And it happened so fast, and I was waiting for the Most High to give me more detail on what that was about. The next dream I had would happen maybe a few nights later. And I was in this city, and like I mentioned in prior videos, I travel often. And I can usually tell when I'm dreaming, I'm in a vision, or I'm actually traveling to a different realm. And I was in this place, and I saw this person that reminded me of a friend of mine that served with me in the military. And his name was Al Sturgis. But the image of this person was not Sturgis. This person was like a giant over me. He was towering over me, and I really couldn't see his face. And then when I had a flash of his face, it was distorted. It wasn't Sturgis. It was just some I'm going to call it a being. So we were outside talking, me and this character that I thought was my friend Sturgis from the military. And then all of a sudden, all of these cop cars come speeding in front of this tent. There was a tent like setting, and it had a bunch of benches up under it. And me and Sturgis was under this tent. And so all of these police cars and paddy wagons drove up, and we went outside the tent, and we were looking, trying to figure out what was going on. Well, what happened was that the police had gathered up all of these so-called criminals. And once they got them all in one area, they took off. Me and Sturgis sitting there looking. So they took off. But the paddy wagon was like a tent with a bunch of benches up under it that contained all black men, or better yet, many so-called black men. And it just took off. This tent on the back of this police vehicle just took off, and it took off with a tent full of black males. It's like they rounded up all of these black men and they just took off. And you can see this tent, this police car going with this tent hitched to the back of it, and all of these black men were in the back of this tent. So me and Sturgis was walking up the street. We was trying to get away from this environment. And as we walked up this street, there was a vehicle that drove up and stopped in front of us. It was going to this house that was across the street. And I stopped. Me and Sturgis both stopped, and we looked at it because we kind of felt something wasn't right. So these images, the shadow, came out. It was nothing but energy. They weren't human beings. They weren't in the form of humans, but it was energy. And these two energies got out. They had firearms, and we thought they were going across the street to this house, but they turned around and looked at us. And so we started backing up, and then before I realized it, one of these dark energies quickly ended up in back of me, and I woke up. That was the second dream I had. And I was puzzled as to why this police vehicle, which happened to be a tent or a shelter with all of these black men sitting on these benches, and it's like it rounded up all of these black men and just took them off. The third dream I had was me and a family member, and this one happened rather quickly as well. Me and one of my family members were standing outside of this room, and there was like a table or a shelf before us. And on this table was a sign of this word. It's a word that in this realm don't even exist. This is one of those moments where I felt that I was in another realm, because we both were trying to figure out what this word was. And the word is spelled Antidiosa. That's Antidiosa. And we were trying to figure out how it's pronounced, and we were saying Antidiosa. You know, it was just a weird word. It's not a foreign language, but it's a word that in this realm don't even exist. So when I saw that word and we were trying to pronounce it, and then I woke up and the word was like fresh in my mind. And what I did was I immediately wrote it down. And then I made a meme and posted it on Instagram and on Facebook. And I also I spelled the words backwards and tried to look it up to see if it meant something backwards, but I couldn't find anything on that word, which I thought was quite strange. So maybe this is a word that don't exist yet in this realm. But the word again is spelled Antidiosa. So what do you think of those three dreams / visions / travel to another realm? Feedback and tell me what you think. Subscribe. Until next time. Peace.